केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्त्वन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवद्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि। ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु। अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव। तया आस्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं। शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा। कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः। श्रुतं मे गोपाय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिव कीर्तिः पृष्ठं गिरेरिव। ऊर्ध्वपवित्रो वाजिनीव स्वमृतमस्मि। द्रविणगुं सवर्चसं सुमेधा अमृतोक्षितः। इति शङ्कोर्वेदानुवचनम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। आप्यायन्तु मम अङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि। सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनिरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मा ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। वाङ् मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम्। आविराविर्मयेति वेदस्य महानीस्तः। श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः। अनेनादितेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दर्शयाम्यहम्। ददामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति 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 भद्रं नो अपि वातय मनः ॐ शान्तिः भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः यो ब्रह्मानं विददाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं ह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः न अन्तः प्रज्ञं न बहिष्प्रज्ञं नो उभयतः प्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानघनं न प्रज्ञं नाप्रज्ञं अदृष्टम् अव्यवहार्यम् अग्राह्यम् अलक्षणम् अचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेश्यम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारं प्रपञ्चोपशमम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारं प्रपञ्चोपशमं शान्तं शिवम् अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः Let's also chant Karikas number 10 and 11. निवृत्तेः सर्वदुःखानां ईशानः प्रभुरव्ययः अद्वैतः सर्वभावानां देवस्तुर्यो विभुः स्मृतः कार्यकारणबद्धौ I think the tau will also be there. So कार्यकारणबद्धौ तौ इष्येते विश्वतैजसौ प्राज्ञः कारणबद्धस्तु द्वौ तौ तुर्येण सिद्ध्यतः So this Karika that we are beginning to study is concerning the the main focus of the 7th verse of the Upanishad. Chaturtham manyante sa atma sa vijñeyaha. So turiya. Turiya means the fourth. Literally, from a grammatical meaning, turiya means just like you say, not number 4, but the fourth. So the fourth means that it has a connection to the other ones. Like you say, first I want to tell you this, second I want to tell you this, fourth I want to tell you this. So that means that the first 3 are connected. So the turiya means the fourth. And so now the karika is concerning the turiya, concerning the fourth. And as you know, what we have been studying is that the fourth one is the only one. Is the only one. It is not as though there are 4 portions. The fourth one, so the first 3 are concerning the appearance of ourselves. So this is something we have to really think about in our own mind, and be very clear about ourselves as who we are. So this is the thing about the personality and the person. So we play 3 roles. This is a very good example, really, just to play 3 roles. It's just like you have one actor that plays multiple roles in multiple movies at the same time. Same time meaning that it is an unfinished movie. So you don't play all 3 movies at the same time, but you play successively. You go shoot one scene, then you come back and you shoot another scene, then you shoot another scene, or you rest for a while, and then you go back into the first movie and take the second scene of that movie. So this is exactly what our life is. We have to grapple with this reality, a very beautiful, pleasant reality. But the acting of the movie is, so, in the case of the actor, the acting of the movie gives you some money and perhaps gives you some fulfillment of your aspirations. Like everybody wants to have some specialty. Some people are doctors, some people are lawyers, some people are, they have a talent for acting, and they make a lot of money. Lot of money. Some people play cricket, and they make now lots of money. And so different people do different things. So the actor also has a vocation and is very involved in fulfilling the career of being an actor by acting in films. But the acting in films is not the reality of the person. The reality of the person is that he or she have a family and is the son or daughter of someone, has a particular shape of the body, has some voice which is peculiar to them, and so on. So that's what constitutes the person. But in the acting of the movie, the person is now kind of like covered, not completely covered, but there is something in addition to the person that allows that person to play a role very well. Well, this is the way the situation is. We know that very well. So the Vedanta says that you and I are exactly the same way. And unfortunately, the issue is that because of our sense of not knowing, of not understanding the reality of who we are, our roles are not distinguishable from who we are. This is kind of hard to imagine, but supposing there is a actor who is just acting in movies without having any idea of who the person is. You're just going on one movie to the other, one scene to the other, going back and forth, this, that, or the other, but you have no separate identity away from the movie. It's hard to imagine that something like that can happen, but this is exactly what happens to us. If you think about it, when we are born and we start taking on the various roles of our life, we fulfill those roles the best we can, sometimes very well, sometimes not very well. The script is actually given to us. That was something that we asked for in our previous life through the samskaras and so on. But nevertheless, the script is now given. You are born into a family with a particular set of coordinates: mother, father, society, language, gender, all those kinds of things. So the script is given and you play the best you can. And so this is exactly what happens. So in this situation, the Upanishad is pointing out that primarily, and this is a very interesting thing how Ishvara has made this, at least in the human being, let's just look at the human being, that every human being plays three types of roles. There are three movies. And one movie, and so there are variations of the script. But if you look at the totality of the roles, they're very similar. And so one of them is where your plot is very lengthy. And so then you rest in between act number one, act number two, act number three. But just like in a big play also, the connection between act one and act two are preserved. This is what happens when you wake up in the morning. You reconnect it to the previous day. So this is a longer term movie. Then the other type of movie is where you make your own movie. You know, I remember just a couple of years now, my granddaughters have become, they don't play such silly games anymore, but for the last 3-4 years, because their mother is a doctor, and so when they come over and sleep over with us, when they have had their lunch or dinner or something like this, now they're just the two girls are playing with each other. They play doctor. They love to do that. So one of them goes into the other phone. There are two phones in the home. And one of them calls the other one and he says, "Doctor, I have a problem." And the other one says, "What is your problem?" And then they have to make up, "My knees are hurting." And it's very interesting. I observed them how sometimes they'll say, "Well, we have no any beds possible. There are no beds available." So the other one says, "What do you expect me to do?" So they play some games based on really the fact that they may have heard their mother talk about these kinds of things. And they even make a stethoscope out of it. It's funny. They don't do that anymore. Now that was done for about a year or so. So similarly that we play a role by making up our own movie, which is based on our experiences of actually playing in a movie whose script was given to us by Ishvara. So this is the Swapna Avastha. And I was reading recently Swami Maheshananji's one commentary on something. What he said is that, I guess I had not thought about it that much, that if you have an 8-hour rest at night, ideally, we don't get 8 hours, those things are not there anymore. I think if we can get 6, 7, we are happy. But anyway, out of the 8 hours, apparently 6 hours are spent in dreaming. And 2 hours are in deep sleep. So only 2 hours of deep sleep. I thought it was more than that, but I need to, we can actually, this will be a very easy thing for us to Google. One of you can just Google, say, out of the night, what percentage of the time we dream. So you'll probably get the answer. But this is what Swami Maheshananji said, that out of 8 hours, 6 hours are spent in dreaming. And then, of course, we have 16 hours left. So out of 24 hours, you really have deep sleep for 2 hours. And if you sleep during the day, usually you get a very good deep sleep for a short time. So very, very small amount. Anyway, that's the third movie where you are just resting. So just like also supposing you are playing in a movie and you're tired and you just want to just close your eyes and then regain your person and then maybe have a drink or some water or some food, and then you are ready for the next role. So the Upanishad says to us, please see this is exactly what is happening to you. And that now we begin to see that develop an awareness of yourself as a person separate from the roles that you play. Develop that awareness. Right now we don't have that awareness because we are just going straight away from one role to the other and we keep going back and forth. We never really have a chance to figure out who are we apart from the roles. And so this requires an analysis because it's a fact. It's a fact. And the funny part is, really speaking, that if we look at ourselves as an individual, obviously the analysis of ourselves as a person will be done individually. So you have to examine your own life. This is the role that I'm playing, which is given to me. This is the role that I'm playing, which I just make up based on the other one. And then this is the role that I'm playing where I am really just completely resting. And then therefore the Shastra says that please examine, be aware of yourself as a person who is independent of all three, which is called Turiya. This is Turiya. The fourth one, which is really the only one. Only one means the common one, which is between all three of them. So when you do this analysis, the funny part is this. You look at yourself as a person, and the answer to this question, who am I? Who am I as a person? Gives you the answer. It is the same as everyone else in this whole creation. This is just amazing. In other words, your individuality is only with respect to the roles that you play. But as far as the person goes, it is the same person. Same person for everyone. What a remarkable thing this is. You can almost imagine that you're made up, it's all the same substance. The very vastu, the very substance, the very reality of that is Brahman, the Atma. That is the person. And that vastu does not have any variability. It does not have any particular personality. It is really the very common element of all personalities. And it means that I am aware. And I'm also, it's interesting, we will see this, that it is in fact the very substance of the Ananda. This is the same person. It is nothing but Brahman alone. And that person is devoid of any individuality. It is the totality. And really, when I get to understand that, it is mind-boggling, just mind-boggling, just amazing. So now, having defined Turiya as the fourth one, which is the only one, which is the common one between all of them. Like, for example, the space is supposing you say that there is a room space, there is a hall space, there is a kitchen space. But then there is a fourth one, which is space, which is the only one common between all of them. This is the Turiya. Now we start to understand this Turiya. Because the question is, I am very familiar with the roles that I play. I have my experiences, that I am a father or a mother, that I have children, that I have parents. That one I understand. And the problems that come with it, I also am very familiar with. The joys of it, I am also very familiar with. Everything is this. But who am I which is outside of these roles? We now have to understand that. By just simply saying this is Turiya, that does not really give me, and even to say that I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam, my mind cannot grasp it. I accept it. I'm not questioning what the Shastra is telling me, but it doesn't do anything for me. And so now, the Karika helps us to understand the nature of Turiya. This is the purpose of the Karika. This is how commentaries are given. Because you have to examine all aspects of it. What does it mean? What does a Turiya mean? What does the Brahman mean? What is the common element of everyone mean? How does it express itself? So now we start on the examination of the Turiya. So there, let's look at, for example, number 10 first, and then we will go further. And we will try to proceed quickly by understanding each word. Each word used in these are full of significance. So we need to understand each of the words used in these verses, the Karika verses. So in number 10 says, let's start from the very end of the verse. Turyoho vibhuhu smritaha. And so we did this very briefly in the last class, so let's expand on it now. So we'll start with, so nivrittehe sarva dukkhanam ishanaha prabhuhu avyayaha advaitaha sarva bhavanam devaha turyo vibhu smritaha. So here Swami Maheshananji makes a commentary that the word devaha is exactly the same as Shivaha in the 7th verse of the Upanishad. Remember that one? Adrishtam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam avyapadeshyam ekatma pratyasaram prapancha upashamam shantam shivam. So Shivam is the Brahman. Is the Brahman. And it is called Devam. So Devam, Devaha here, Devaha, because it is the first case, so it is Devaha. There it was Shivam as the second case, but it's the same. So Devaha means Dyotanat Devaha, one which shines. It's called Devaha. And so one that shines means that one who is Chetana Vastu, one who is conscious. And so from there we should see that the conscious person can only be one. Can be only one conscious person. There's only one Shiva. There's only one Devaha. And that, why is it that only one conscious person? Because I see a number of people who are very conscious. I am one of them, you are also one of them, and so on and so forth. But there we see that those are reflected consciousness. Yes, you are the only conscious person, but you are seeing your reflection in your body and mind. So the body and mind are reflected consciousness. They are also devas. So every one of our sense organ is a deva. It also has the, this is why you, for example, when you pinch your skin, it gives you a feeling that somebody is pinching my skin. You can close your eyes, you can open your eyes, and so the eyes have the ability to actually cognize some forms, and ears have the ability to cognize some sound. But those are reflected consciousnesses. If the original consciousness does not reflect in them, they cannot work on their own. And this is why, for example, if a person were to leave the body, then the eyes are still open. It's so interesting that my friend who just passed away recently, they preserved his body very well for several days. And his family itself was saying that, my God, this guy looks alive. His son was saying, my dad, he used kind of like a very interesting, a young kid. He says, my dad looks good. I mean, I wouldn't use that, my dad looks good. But the body looked good. Interesting. Eyes were just there, but there's no reflected consciousness. So the eyes, yes, they are conscious. The ears are consciousness. The skin is conscious. My mind is conscious. I'm thinking. I think what we should do, thinking. That's also consciousness. But all of those consciousnesses are reflected consciousness. But the Deva is a single one, which is Shivaha, which is Turiya, which is common to all of us. And which is, why do we say that it is the only one? Because you can look at reflected consciousness, but you cannot look at consciousness. Consciousness is never an object. It is always a subject. Because if the consciousness were to be looked at, then it becomes an object, which means that it must have a form. Turiya doesn't have a form. It is self-existing. And so, this is what is called Devaha, one which shines. And so, for example, when you have, let's say, the sun, which is reflected in thousands of ponds, yes, they all look like they are different individual suns, but there's only one sun. And I mentioned to you, I think in one of the classes, hopefully here also, that really when at the beginning of the Kalpa, when Ishvara enters into the creation, so this is the way it is done, this is the way it is described, whether it's exactly the same way it is or that there are some stages to it, that's a separate issue. But it's almost like, you know, you make a form and then you infuse life into it. So the Ishvara, first of all, when Ishvara starts a kalpa based on all of the samskaras of the previous kalpa, you make a form consistent with the forms before. It's just like, for example, when you wake up in the morning, then you now restart your forms based on the form previous before you went to sleep. So you now have a form, and so Ishvara is the one who's responsible for when the kalpa ends, when the new one starts, and this is infinite, by the way. So the whole creation is infinite. It's not just in earth or anything like this. It's in, you cannot even count the number of earths and billions and stars and infinite. All of a sudden, it all starts. And Ishvara then infuses his own consciousness into each one of the people. If the people are necessary to be infused in, like for example a table, then it leaves it alone because it simply borrows the very isness of the Ishvara. But for those of us that have a personality, then Ishvara infuses the personality, infuses that personality with its own consciousness. And then we become alive. And then during the kalpa, we follow the script of the movie. Changes one life to the other and so on, until we understand that we are no different from Brahman and Ishvara, in which case our separate identity is no longer needed. This is the process that happens. But so the word Deva here means, and so, yeah, this is what I hadn't quite finished that. So the reflection of the sun in the multiple ponds is one. The other one, which is remarkable, is Ishvara as the only one which gets reflected in multiple mirrors. It's almost like, you define multiple mirrors, and here multiple means infinite. You define mirrors, and then you stand in front of the mirror and you look at yourself. And what you see is the individual reflection of the copy of the original. This is what is called bimba and pratibimba. So therefore, this is what is called Shiva or Devaha. So Turiya is the Devaha. And then let's now go on to the next word. Turyoho vibhuhu smritaha. Turyoho vibhu smritaha. The name of Turi, it is recalled as Vibhuhu. So this is what we started with in the last class, so let's expand on that. He says the Vibhu is called, Turiya is called Vibhuhu. So here, the commentary given by Swami Maheshanandji, which is based on Shankara Bhashya, is that the Vibhu has two meanings. And both are important for us to see. One is called Vividham asmat bhavati iti vibhuhu. Vividham asmat bhavati iti vibhuhu means that the various things are born out of whom that person is called Vibhuhu. All the forms and experiences are born out of which is called Vibhuhu. So if we take this definition, then endemic to this definition, peculiar to this definition, is Karana Karya Bhavaha. Karana Karya Bhavaha means the cause and effect relationship is endemic to this relationship, to this definition. That there is, so for example, I went through this last time also, that for example, you see that the various ornaments are born out of gold. So the gold becomes the Karana and the ornaments becomes the Karya. So that is this definition. Vividham asmat bhavati iti vibhuhu. So this is what is called Parinama Karanam. Parinama Karanam means one which is the cause of the various births of forms. That Karana is also called Vibhuhu. But then the second definition of Vibhu is Vividha Akarena Bhavati iti Vibhuhu. Vividha Akarena Bhavati iti Vibhuhu. The one which is visible as a form. The one which is visible as a form, which may be visible without a form or may be visible with a form. So in this definition, which says which is visible in the forms, the Karana Karya Bhava is not there. So it is not Parinama Karanatvam, but Vivarta Karanatvam. Vivarta Karanatvam means that it is the substance which appears as something else without changing itself. That is called vivartakaranatvam. Now, if you look at the example of the gold and ornaments, both types of definitions can be ascribed to the phenomena of the gold and the ornaments. Both types of definitions can be ascribed to it. How? So the first type of definition is where you look at the gold as the karana, the cause, but in a way the secondary cause. So you see, this is the thing. The focus is on the ornament, not on the gold. You know, so for example, you can see visualize this. Supposing there is a gift being given to someone, about a gold ornament, some kind of a necklace. So the whole drishti, the whole focus of the people buying that is on the form. And then you can say, by the way, what kind of a gold is it? What kind of, is it a 22 karat gold? Is it 18 karat gold? Is it a good gold? Can I rely on it? So that is almost like the main thing is that you are almost ready to buy the ornament and you are attracted to it, but now you want some secondary data to confirm your decision. So there the jeweler will say, yes, this is good gold. Yeah, it's wonderful. But the whole focus is on the ornamentation. In the other example, the focus is on the gold itself. And the fact that it can either be an ornament or not. You know, so for example, Swami Maheswaranji pointed out, he says it's very interesting. When you, let's say in India, a daughter is getting married, and now comes how much gift, how much dowry to give to your daughter. So the parents, the husband and wife, they all get together, and he says, so the wife can say, you know, you have a better idea, you keep track of all, you know, how much gold we have and so on. How much gold should we think we can give her? So they all calculate and said, you know, this much, 10 tola gold. I think we can give her that much. And then maybe we can give some to the other relatives and so on and so forth. So there, the focus is on the gold. How much can we afford? Now, you are not going to, Swami Maheswaranji makes this point, he says you are not going to take a lump of 10 tola gold and give it to the daughter. She'll say, what is this? You're going to make some kind of a jewelry out of that. You go to the jeweler and say, we have this much that we can afford. Can you make, what kind of a ornamentation can you make? So even though the transaction is in terms of the ornamentation, but the whole focus is on the gold. So this is what is called vivarta upadana karanam. And it's a very interesting thing because you can, you now have a sense of ease. We can go to the jeweler and say, what if she doesn't like it? So he says, no problem. For us, we can you know, melt that gold and make another one. It's no big deal. And can this the value of the gold be preserved? Absolutely, absolutely, because the gold is valued nicely and so on. Whereas in the Parinama Upadana Karanam, the whole focus is on the ornamentation. And if it breaks, then there is unhappiness, and so on. So now we can summarize. When you start to understand your own personality as distinct from yourself as a person, there are two stages to this understanding. One stage is where you look at the Karana Karya Bhava, the Parinama Karanatvam. This is what is called Saguna Brahma Upasana. So you are dealing with Ishvara, the presence of Ishvara in your life, and how there is order, how there is structure, how the presence, so it is, you are now looking at every experience that you have, which is part of an overall structure. And so you appreciate Ishvara's presence either in good things or in bad things. But the whole idea is that of Ishvara as the very cause of your life. Brahman as the very cause of your life. So that whole focus in terms of your experiences of life and to find a structure and order in it is called Saguna Brahma Upasana. And you have to go through that first. You cannot jump straight away to Nirguna Brahma Upasana. So Parinama Karanatvam is an important stage in our development of life. You cannot bypass it. It's not possible to bypass it. Even though it is transitory, and eventually you'll have to get rid of that as well. But in order for you to graduate to the postgraduate level, you have to go through that. Then is where you begin to understand that the essence of you and the essence of Ishvara is the same. And in fact, forget about, it's not as though you are a separate individual from the Ishvara. In fact, what you considered to be yourself was really nothing but Ishvara. What you consider to be Jivatma is in fact Paramatma. And this comes from the fact at a deep understanding of Vivartha Upadana Karanam. That means that my formful existence is also nothing but the formless existence of Brahman. Just like whether the gold appears as an ornament or doesn't appear as an ornament, it is just a lump, doesn't matter. The reality of it is all the same. So now we can wrap up this package that we opened. Turyoho vibhuhu smritaha. So here there was a further commentary by Swami Mahesananji, very beautiful, a very important one. And it means that very interesting. He says, he makes this comment. He says, for those whose viveka and vairagya has become intense, they will understand their nirgunatvam And for those whose viveka and vairagya is not yet intense, will only perhaps understand the formful existence. And this is very, very logical, because viveka and vairagya means you are still very attached to inconsequential things. Your relationships in life are important to you. And you don't have time to examine. You don't have, not time, but you don't have the ability to understand your existence and your person. You're so involved in attending movies and so on and so forth. So this is the turiyaha vibhuhu smritaha, the example of, very beautiful example of vibhuhu smritaha, and the two different aspects of that. Let's go to the next side. Next one, which is, just 1 second, I wanted to bring up another thing. Yeah, so where is that? This is a very important thing I wanted to bring up. Yeah. So let's look at the word ishanaha next. Yes, you can take it different sequences, and we probably won't get finished with this verse even today. So let's look at ishanaha. So ishanaha, which is very similar to the word ishvaraha. So in both ishvaraha and ishanaha, the dhatu is ish. Ish means to rule, overlordship. That was the famous, that is the very common, popular word that Swami Dayananji used to say, overlordship. Overlordship means kind of like the top boss is called ish, isha. That's the sense of the dhatu. And so from there comes ishanaha, ishvaraha. Ishvaraha means the varat pratyaya, which means nothing but ish. Means only the boss. It's because otherwise what happens is we are bosses with respect to some things, but then we are ourselves bossed over by other things. So that is not ishvaraha. But the one who is never bossed by anything else, is always the boss, is called ishvaraha. Same thing with ishana. So here, in the commentary by Swami Maheshananji, he says, the overlordship or the becoming a controller or a boss is one of two types. One type is where you do it with force, and you do it with some strength, and you do it with a lot of fear. The carrot and stick, the stick is an important aspect of it. This is the bossism. This is one Ishanam, which is also possible. It's possible. The other one is called Samarthya. Samarthya means ability. Ability. So the most classical example of this is that of a very strong magnet. When you are a magnet, this is how the order of the universe is kept, where the gravitational forces automatically behave in a particular way. So when you have a strong magnet, the magnet does not have to tell the iron filings, you don't come to me, I'm just going to destroy you. What happens is it has the ability to attract things by itself. This is also an Ishana. This is Ishvara. Elsewhere, Swami Mahesanji had made the point that even if you're running a business, for instance, there, if you have really not done a good job of spreading your unique culture within the family of the company, then you have to keep on reminding people, hey, you better come on time, you got to do this, you got to do that. But if you have a certain culture which is well established, then you just attract people to that culture naturally. And the whole business runs very well. So the word Ishanaha here, and so Ishvaraha, is you can consider Ishvara to be of both types. This we will study in great detail some other time. This is the explanation of what is called Antaryamitvam. The Antaryami, a lot of discussion on this, that how your thoughts, the Antaryami, who is the Antaryami? Is it Jiva the Antaryami or is it Ishvara the Antaryami? And it's proven that Ishvara is the Antaryami. And Ishvara as an Antaryami may have to work with the Pancha Mahabhutas to have fear. But there also it is not necessary. Because as I mentioned to you that even the gravitational forces are automatic. Certainly when it comes to us, the Antaryamitvam is whenever they say that supposing some wrong actions have to be punished. There is some punishment involved and some, so both carrot and stick are involved. But whenever there is a punishment involved, the way Ishvara works is it gives credence to your wrong thoughts. Makes you do wrong things and you suffer because of that. And it is automatically given to you. You don't even realize it until you become cognizant of the effect of your own thoughts and how they result in bad actions and bad results. This is how Ishvara does it. Not as though sitting there with a stick ready to hit you, but you get the same effect. You get the same effect. So now let's just, I'm just giving you some examples of that. So Ishanaha here means just like you have a magnet that attracts the filings, here in place of the magnet, how Ishvara is the Ishanaha, He is the Ananda Swarupa. Just like you have, to just understand this very well, just like you have the magnetism of a magnet, therefore the Ishwaratvam in us is Ananda Swarupatvam. So what does it mean? It means we are attracted to myself as an Ananda Swarupa. Everything that I do, I may not be successful at it because of my prarabdha karma and so on and so forth. That makes a different thing. But my drishti is towards my own ananda. So I am just like a magnetism of the magnet. And I don't work for it. It's not as though I have to say, I need to be very happy and this, that. It just happens automatically. And that sense of happiness, which regulates my entire life, is the ananda of the devaha, the turiya. So now you see this word Ishanaha. Ishanaha means the one who bosses over. And bosses over not necessarily by force, although that can also create your personality. So for instance, this thing called the sexual abuse is also for the ananda of the person. Sexual ananda is one of the most beautiful ones. And as a result of that, there is a lot of miscarriage of the justice. You want it so badly that you abuse that. So the Ishanam can also be the abuse of that. But that is generally the exception. But if you look at your entire life, what really governs the magnetism is the internal ananda, which is not just developed by you and I, it is really given to us by Ishvara as the very Brahman, as the very Turiya. And it seems to be covered. And because I'm not sure about who I am and that my Swarupa is Ananda, I go into all kinds of issues and so on and so forth. But in and through that, it is Ananda. In fact, if you look at the two most popular avatars of Ishvara, Rama and Krishna, and you look at the etymological meaning of Rama and Krishna, not the Rudhi Artha, but the Vyutpatti Artha. Look at Rama, Ramante iti Rama. So really speaking, Ramaha, they say Rama is my heart. It's true. Why? Because what I revel in is my own ananda. And Rama is your Turiya. This is what you have to discover. So this is the Devaha, this is the Turiya, this is the Ishana, this is the Ananda. Same thing, Krishna. So when something is attracted what karshati, what attracts you is your own Ananda. Krishna is your own Swarupa. And you are looking at ways of following the teachings of Krishna on how to be Ananda. How you and I can be the same. But eventually, whether it is done as a Saguna Rupa, when you go to a temple and pray to Rama, or you become cognizant of Rama's presence in your own, it all depends upon your stage of development. And so, this is what is called Ishanaha. Ishanaha means the one who controls, who regulates, not through force, but through his samarthyam, because of its ability. Because your nature is that of Ananda, therefore you automatically convey your life in a way that it maximizes your Ananda. Your drishti, your vision, your focus, your attention is always towards Ananda. It's like, as Swami Maheshananji was saying, that if you are running a business and you don't have to keep hitting people with a stick, but you just provide a natural culture where people behave it on a certain way. I remember when I was working for HP for so long, it was very interesting, just to give you a kind of a. So I worked for IBM for 7 years. And then for a lot of different reasons, I shifted over to HP. And I saw a distinct difference between the two companies. In IBM, I'm exaggerating a little bit. In IBM, the culture was that of the first type of Ishana. This is the way you're supposed to do it. You better learn. And don't make mistakes. Be very disciplined, very successful. When I came to HP, it was the second type of Ishana. You have to learn how ethical and how giving and how cultured Hewlett and Packard were. And once you learn that, this is how your behavior in the company, I saw that. I mean, now I'm just beginning to see the difference between them. Anyway, so the nature of Turiya, that we are examining the nature of the Turiya. So just beautiful, all of these words that are used. So you have Devaha, then Turyoho Vibhuhu, and then Ishanaha. And I can just quickly go through this word Prabhuhu. Also, we won't have time to look at everything else, but just very quickly on the word Prabhuhu. Prabhu is exactly the same thing. Prabhuhu means one which is one who is also another word of Ishanaha, another word of a boss, one who is the top person. That also can be looked upon on both the same way. One could be where you maintain discipline. And so here, as far as the infrastructure goes, the sun and the moon and the wind and whether or not we have a drought, all of the climate and so on and so forth, this is, it regulates a certain structure. No one can violate it. It's all done by a structure. The infrastructure is all there. But also, the same thing as the Ishana. It is done very pleasantly, naturally, and for your own good. For your own good. Swami Maheswaranji makes a, he was obviously the old style Indian, so he says, if you look at the Hindu marriage, there the husband is called Prabhu. The husband is called Prabhu, which is there many of those we have brought up. That means that the husband is the one who establishes a certain discipline in life through love. This is the old style where the women just follow the personality of the man. But in that following the personality of the man, it is not done through danda, not through a stick, but through saying, this is how we do it. And that is how the word Prabhu is used for the pati. Swamiji was saying. Anyway, that's just on the side. But so the introduction to the Turiya should be understood, how it works, how it regulates, how it helps, how it controls. This is the nature of the person. Vibhuhu, Ishanaha, Prabhuhu, and then other words will come, Avyayaha, etc. Sarva dukkhanam hanihi, nivrittihi sarva dukkhanam. All that we will study in next week. Om swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini deshoyam shobharahitah brahmana santu nirbhayaः sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayaः sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Yeah.
You mentioned the two Karya Karan Prabhav. One is Vivartval and the other is Parinamval. I think usually what I came to understand was that Parinam Upadan Karan is, it cannot be changed back again.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, so you're right that so what happens is that the example of the gold and ornament really is just vivarta. It is not the right example for parinama. Okay, but here's the thing: if you leave aside that part of it, the example of the gold and the ornament, the way we look at our life is through the eyes of a parinama karanatvam. Okay? Like for instance, the assertion that when I was young, as I mentioned I think the other day also, so just the assertion, when I was young, we used to do this. So you view this statement from the standpoint of parinama karanatvam. That means that I was young, I am no longer young. that I have really given up, that, those were the beautiful days, this, whatever. Whereas in fact, that statement should be viewed from the standpoint of vivarta karanatvam. In fact, you cannot even make the statement that when I was young. The word was should indicate to you that I still am. So the I doesn't change, but the association with a certain body form changes. I doesn't change. So the vivarta karanatvam is the one that should be predominant in our thinking, but it is not. So this is what our challenge is, that in our life we have to convert the understanding of parinami karanatvam into vivarta karanatvam.
So then you're talking of absolute reality versus relative reality.
Yes, that's part of it, yes, of course. Yeah.
And this Prabhu word, does it relate to Prabhav, that he is controlling all our bhavnas?
No, it is a different etymology. It's called prakarshena bhuhu. Prakarshena bhuhu means one who's always avyayaha. In fact, avyayaha is the one that characterizes the word Prabhu, means the one who is always the same. Also same thing as Ishvaraha. Always the boss, never subservient, doesn't change its role. So it becomes prakarshena bhuhu, have nothing to do with the bhavana. No. Any other questions?
Parinama karana and vivarta karana, it gets confusing as in Gita it is nacha matasthani bhutani and matasthani bhutani.
Correct.
Back to back two
Yeah.
words. And it takes quite a bit of reading again and again to understand that it is a challenging.
Yeah, of course, of course. No, I think it comes from the fact that I've mentioned this before, from my own experience and so on, is that we are so conditioned to viewing things in a formful way that our mind does not permit us to enter into a serious analysis of the formlessness, because we always think of formlessness as being inconsequential, not important, when in fact it is the other way around. And to cross over that boundary is not an easy one, but we must do it. Yeah.
When that drishti or that becomes steadfast, then you see the reality everywhere.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it. There's a lot of very good clarity about the nature of this understanding and how you view the world later and so on and so forth. But let's just wait on it. Let's go one step at a time. So all of that will come eventually. So
you mentioned the avatars of Ram and Krishna, and they actually, you said it's a similar meaning. Why is they always, were they really blue in color, or it is just imagination? Why is the blue color there?
well, it's interesting. You mentioned the blue color. The blue color is the stuff of Ishvara's creation when there is infinity involved. Akasha, sea, I mean, the sea is not infinite, but it is very deep. So there is some connection to the blue color with respect to that. All right, we'll see you next week. Thank you. Sorry, Wilt.